Hey guys, here for another installment of Casket Conversations. Today is going to be a 100% Star Trek based episode. Yes, for those of you that, wanted some Star Trek when we got Star Wars last time, this will be a good one. So I'm here today again with my good buddy Steven, and he's actually going to be piloting this episode. So this will be kind of different for me, not as much for you guys, but he's heading this thing off. So without further ado, here's the reins, bud.
All right, thank you. I'll try to keep us off the rocks.
Yeah, sounds good. Don't hit any icebergs.
Asteroids, I'll be driving you. Okay, fun thing. Star Trek Beyond has had a new trailer about, a week? Maybe 2 weeks?
Yeah, something
now.
about that, yeah.
I'm particularly very excited about the movie. At first I was a little apprehensive because I had a bad taste in my mouth from Star Trek Into Darkness for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Because I'm pure. First of all, I'm an old school Star Trek fan.
Yes,
I
you
grew
are.
up on Next Generation, and then I got introduced to the original series when I was like 4.
Yeah.
My dad and I are huge Star Trek nerds. It's bad.
Yeah.
So we got into it, and now I'm kind of excited for it. One, as a filmmaker, it's kind of nice to see the reins being handed to a different director.
For sure.
So it's kind of neat to see that. I know Simon Pegg is one of the writers of the script, and he's a huge Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
He plays Scott in the films. So I'm kind of excited to see what his take on that, on this new universe is. And I mean, he's such a huge fan. He made a note in one of his films, I forgot which one, that he had written ages ago, and he made the joke about how all the odd-numbered Star Trek films sucked. And overall, he's actually not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Motionless picture, anyone?
Yeah. Oof.
So I'm kind of excited with the trailer's pretty awesome. My first reaction after watching it was, wow, this actually looks like it could be a Star Trek movie.
Yeah, for sure.
When did this happen? So I'm excited for Justin Lin directing it. He's a huge Star Trek fan. He has I think he has a better understanding of the universe than J.J. Abrams, in my personal opinion. Yeah. So hopefully he'll do a nice job. So what do you think? Did you get to watch this trailer?
Yeah, I did. I did. I too was kind of late to the game and watching it. Here's my honest thing about Star Trek. Since you kind of went into this a little bit on you are a Star Trek purist, whereas I'm kind of like at the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I'm sort of one of those casual Star Trek fans. It's definitely not something that I cater to that much. I mean, for God's sake, my favorite of the series is Voyager, and I know there's many Star Trek fans out there that'll be like, boo, but yeah, Voyager's my favorite. Suck it.
Tom Star Trek, as a friend of mine put it.
Yeah.
Which I'm enjoying Voyager right now. I've been rewatching. I'm like, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah. So with that said, just keep in mind this is coming from a casual fan. But I really, really enjoyed the 2009 Star Trek film.
I did
and
too.
I liked it for all the reasons that I don't like a lot of the aspects of the series, because I don't like the really slow moving kind of episodes. Like, I like the more fast, but that which is why I like Star Wars, is because it's fast paced and all that kind of stuff. It's fast moving. And I tell the story all the time. If it wasn't for the fact that my dad is such a Trekkie, I probably wouldn't have gone and seen the 2009 one. And I was working at a movie theater at the time, and I could have seen it for free. So that gives you the idea. I had no intent of seeing it at all. But I remember working opening night, and everybody coming out of the theater was like, man, have you seen this yet? This is awesome. I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, man. And everybody was that way. Everybody was coming out saying this was incredible. And I'm like, well, fuck, I guess I gotta go see it. So I went and saw it, and it made me a fan again. It made me want to go back and watch the Next Gen. It made me want to go back and watch Voyager again. I never really was a Deep Space Nine fan, other than a few of the characters I really liked. But yeah, I really liked it. I liked Into Darkness, but it's like, off microphone instead of off camera, I guess I'll say. It's like me and you have talked about before. My dad owns Into Darkness. My dad owns 2 copies of the 2009 Star Trek. I own a copy of the first Star Trek. I don't own Into Darkness. When I think so, I have within reaching distance of going and getting Into Darkness if I want to watch it. I've only watched it twice since like ever. So that kind of gives you the idea. It's
Oh, you're
not
better than me. I've only watched it in the theater once.
it's not that I don't like the movie, but it's one of those things where it's like I am not going out of my way to like watch it because but I'm not a purist, so this kind of would make sense, but Benedict being Khan in the movie does not bother me at all. Like I think it's a great film device or story device. I thought it worked, I mean, for me it's a lot like doing a reboot, like like Curse of Chucky was sort of a reboot of the Child's Play movies and things like that. Like, there's or like the Halloween movies, they're talking about doing a Halloween reboot or remake or sequel or whatever they want to call it. So it's kind of one of those things for me. So it didn't bother me because it's like, well, it worked. I mean, everybody's a fan of Route the Con. I mean, that's my favorite of the old movies. So why not? I get it. So when it comes to Beyond, I remember when the first teaser was uploaded, I was not a fan of that at all. Like from the Beastie Boys music to, I got a few chuckles in it. I thought it was funny. The scene with Spock and Bones and him mouthing off and then Spock being gone. I mean, that's funny. But for the most part, there wasn't anything that pulled me in. This trailer has been the trailer that has made me the most interested in it. But, and it looks like I might enjoy it because if they go back to doing kind of what JJ did with the first one, then it'll be great. But if they tried to do too much of what they did in Into Darkness, then no, because look, I mean, Into Darkness made a great amount of money at the box office. The movie wasn't anything, it was not a bomb at all. But when you talk to the fans, I mean, a lot of people kind of feel the same way. It was kind of just, well, it's a good movie, but, So
it's there.
exactly, it's there. It's one of those movies where it's like if you go to someone's house to hang out and they're watching it, you're not going to ask them to turn it off. But if you go there,
but that's just
me. yeah. But if you go there and they ask you what do you want to watch, you're not going to be, hey, let's watch Star Trek Into Darkness. So it's kind of one of those things. So that's my feeling. Yes, I did see the trailer. It has interested me, but that's like when I say interest, it's like out of 100%, I mean like 20%. And that's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for the fact that they're actually, it seems to be going back to the roots. There's a lot of, the way the trailer portrays it, there's a lot more character development.
Right.
Because Kirk is talking about how at first he wanted to be exactly like his dad, but now he's not so sure.
Right.
And he's talking with Bones about it, so that's kind of a cool throwback to the original series, because he had these kinds of conversations with McCoy.
Well, for sure.
The series.
Well, and especially...
And, I mean, Colonel Urban's perfect as McCoy.
Oh, absolutely. He was one of my favorite things about the first one, and he was one of my favorite things about Into Darkness, and I love that Simon Pegg has been, writing this because, the thing I don't think Simon gets enough credit for is his writing ability because, and when people look from the outside looking in, looking at movies like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead and, At World's End or The World's End or whatever it's called, they don't give him enough credit for that because it's comedy or and it's kind of like out there British humor, which I love, personally, but,
Same here.
But he's a brilliant writer, and so that is another tipping point for me of being excited for this movie because it's like, okay, well, let's see what Pegg does with this,
Yeah, I'm actually, and also I know he's a huge Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
So he's going to, and he said he wants to be more closer to he wants it more like the original series.
Yeah.
type feel as far as, the aspect.
Well, there's
They're going
certain.
out seeking new life and such. And we don't have a familiar villain.
Well,
it's so nuts.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, but hear me out on this. Like, I think what you're talking about is like certain tropes, because Star Wars has its certain tropes that it does. Star Trek has its tropes. And here's the thing: the 2009 Star Trek film placated to those tropes a lot more, whereas Into Darkness kind of went astray a little bit. And if they can kind of bring that back with this, then I think it'll give everybody on board, because then it will, even though it'll be more, because like, look, I mean, the new version of Star Trek, I think, will always be more quote unquote action packed than the old Star Trek was. But that's just because we're in a new generation. It's a new thing, and it can work as long as you have a good story. And I think as long as he plays to what the things that everybody loves about Star Trek, because like, look, I may be just a casual Star Trek fan, but let me look. Using Voyager as an example, something that I love about Star Trek Voyager is all of these certain relationship dynamics that happen in the show. I love, kind of the power play kind of stuff with like Janeway and, Chakotay in a lot of the episodes. There's certain things that Voyager does that is very Star Trek. It very is what it is. And they kind of lost that feeling with Into Darkness. I mean, again, you could have easily called this The Exploding Planet, and it would have been a lot better than calling it Star Trek Into Darkness or something, because it didn't feel like Star Trek. Yeah, you had Kirk. Yeah, you had all the characters. Yeah, you had all of this, but it kind of left. And I got what JJ was trying to do, because he was trying to expand the universe with it, but it just didn't work,
Yeah. It's one of those cases of Steino, Star Trek in name only. And there have been a couple of films like that in the original canon as well. And that kind of Into Darkness was one of those films.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, let's go save whales. Woo!
So we're going to jump from this to that, because we've kind of exhausted Beyond. I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about Justin Lin as a director a little bit later on.
Okay.
So we're going to go into the new series. They had a trailer out for it about a month ago. And they basically used a lot of the graphics from the first two movies. And it talks about new missions, new crews, new villains, new heroes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's actually pretty neat. But they don't show, like, characters or anything. They just say it's new stuff. So maybe they're going to go the Beyond route and going ahead of everything. Going outside of what we know in the Star Trek universe, which will be nice.
Yeah.
It's set between the original series show and Next Generation, so it's between those timelines, and it's like an 80-year jump. So
interesting.
They can get away with that. There's an 80-year time period between those two parts of the franchise, so they have a lot of ground to cover, and it's making it sound like more like an anthology series, sort of like True Detective or something like that.
Right.
Star Wars Clone Wars. And I'm actually looking forward to that aspect, because I think they could do it and do it really well.
Yeah.
They have a really good production team. They have Gene Roddenberry's son as I think he's an executive producer or some kind of consultant. So there's that. That's going to be kind of neat to have that kind of legacy going on. They have Nicholas Meyer, who was a producer on Star Trek 2, 4, and 6.
Yeah.
And then he directed 2 and 6. So, I mean, Wrath of Khan director. He almost directed Star Trek Nemesis, but he wanted to make some changes to the script. That's a whole other ballgame. It's because Paramount's stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited for that aspect. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see it because you have to pay to watch it. And, like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
Because you have to make a month subscription or whatever to CBS All Access, they're only showing the pilot regular. They're only going to show the pilot regular on regular television. And they're not showing anything else.
Right.
From what I've heard, I don't know if that's true, but according to CBS, that's what they're doing, and that's kind of odd.
Right.
Personally. So, yeah, it's exciting.
And do they? What was the name of? Do they have a name for the show yet, or?
No, it's just Star Trek. They haven't had a title. They just showed Star Trek in the trailer.
Yeah.
They're going to, which will be kind of nice for us fans because we haven't had a Star Trek TV series since 2005. So.
Yeah.
11 years, and we're not getting it till 2017, so it'll be 12 years since we had a Star Trek series on the air.
That's when Enterprise ended?
Yep.
Wow.
2005.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's nearly, it's like, what, 11 years?
It'll be 12 years by the time the series rolls around.
Wow.
New series rolls around, so yeah, 11 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, I never watched Enterprise that much. There's, you know, as much as I love Scott Bakula, it, you know, growing up, it never really appealed to me.
I want to get back into it to try it to see if it's better than what I remember, but
yeah,
I had issues. I had issues with it being a purist, but it's
well, like,
I might try it again just to see if I feel better about it.
Yeah, like, look, I mean, I can say the same thing about having a Star Trek series as I can about, like, having, you know, a Star Wars series. Like, if you don't, I think you're missing out on a great opportunity. I think having a Star Trek series, especially since it's been nearly 12 years since there has been one, I think there could be. I think because people didn't take to Enterprise as well as they had hoped, I think that kind of scared them, but it shouldn't, because it's not like it's, you know, Stargate. I mean, it's not, I don't think the show was ever quite that bad. But, you know, it's a shame that there hasn't been something in that long, you know, especially since there's been so many different fan productions going on. I mean, there's obviously a climate for something, and especially since the last 2 or 3 years with Netflix getting so much bigger, it almost makes you want to beg the question. I wonder why Netflix hasn't tried to reach out to do something. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. You know, again, since we don't really know too much about it, it's hard to really say too much other than just, I like the idea of it, you know?
There have been a lot of rumors floating around, though, about who they're casting and such too, which is kind of interesting.
Who are a few of the names?
Well, Nathan Fillion's a popular one that keeps popping up.
That could be interesting.
I wouldn't be opposed to that, but that would kind of nix the idea of Firefly season 2, and that breaks my heart.
Yeah, he could very much play like a Tom Paris type on there. I think he'd be really good as like that flyboy kind of role.
We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to the possibility. Hopefully I'm just going to keep an open mind, and if they drop the ball, then they'll drop the ball, and I'll make my annoyance known. But
yeah,
they haven't given me any reason to think they will. So they have a great production team. They have the director. I mean, one of the producers is a director of one of the best film of the original series film franchise. So they obviously are caring enough to get people who understand the concept.
Yeah, for sure.
And they want to do a good job.
Yeah.
So, or else they wouldn't call on these people. They wouldn't reach out to these people to hire them.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
But you also don't think that maybe, you know, does that phrase, you know, too many cooks in the kitchen? You don't think that there could be a scenario where, because of having so many people involved in it, that, you know, because, like, look, I think it's great too, from the outside looking. I think it's great that you get a lot of people that, you know, that are attached to Star Trek in good ways. However, I feel like, I'm trying to think of a show that I could use as a good example, but what I'm trying to say is, sometimes you can be so afraid of like failures in the past that you kind of overcompensate it, and like the story gets muddled and it's not done as well
Enterprise.
as it could be. Yeah, yeah. So,
That
um,
was part of the reason why, because originally they were going to go in a different direction and create a different. One thing they were trying to do was create another series, and it just didn't fly.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and then they said, "Oh, we'll go with Enterprise," and I'm like, "Why?
yeah. So I
You
mean,
didn't
what?
have to go there."
So do you think that there's a possibility of that, or do you, as a purist and as a more Star Trek fan than I am, like, are you like more happy with all of this, or like, do you have any concerns, or?
I mean, obviously, I'm going to have concerns, but I think they'll. I think they'll overall will be okay because Nick Meyer is one of those people. I know a lot about him. I've
Yeah,
researched him. I've watched a lot of interviews with him. He knows when to let go.
yeah,
Because they wanted him to direct actually movie 4, and he said no.
right,
They were reaching out, they were pulling at him really hard, and he's like, "No, this is not a film I should be directing because it interferes with what I was trying to do with Wrath of Khan, and that just doesn't feel right. This is not the movie I should be directing."
right,
And then years later, they asked him to direct the 6th one. He's like, "Okay." So he's someone who knows when to let go. I think Roddenberry's son will probably, he may serve in a similar capacity as his father did in the later years as just a consultant to just keep things kind of rolling forward.
yeah, for sure.
Hopefully that will be the case. I could be completely wrong, but I'm hoping that will be the case. You mentioned fan productions, so we're going to jump into that
Yeah,
a little bit. I'm a huge fan of fan productions. That sounds redundant, but it is. There you go. There are 3 I particularly follow. One is Star Trek New Voyages, or Phase 2. They've gone by those names like a couple times. And there was Star Trek Continues, which is gaining a lot of popularity. They're pushing really hard. They just had a trailer for their 6th episode released on their site, and actually I'm looking forward to it.
nice.
New Voyages should be creating some new episodes relatively soon. They've been doing a lot of set construction
That's
that
cool.
I've seen. It's really neat. They had a long way to go, and there was a Star Trek Exeter, which was really cool. Unfortunately, they only made 2 episodes.
No,
Some stuff happened with the crew.
yeah,
They weren't able to do anymore, and I was very heartbroken about that. So it was actually a really good series.
sounds
And
like
then,
it.
of course, there's Star Trek Axanar, which some of you who've been following some entertainment news, Paramount was putting up a lawsuit against this fan production because they had a crowdfunding campaign and they raised well over $1 million. So Paramount's like, you're infringing on the rights of Star Trek and such. And I'm thinking, like, at first I was very upset with Paramount, and I said, "What are you guys doing? You've let these fan productions run amok for years, almost well over a decade now, and now all of a sudden you're not happy about it. What's your deal here?
Yeah,
Are you just mad because their movie actually looks better than yours?" They did a documentary, Axanar, and it's called Prelude to Axanar. Really awesome. Definitely look it up.
will do, definitely.
It's like 22 minutes or something. It's on YouTube. You can find it. It's well worth the time. It has beautiful graphics. It has a solid story. It has a lot of actors from the Star Trek franchise in it.
Oh, nice.
Actors from Enterprise and Next Generation and DS9 and all those guys
Oh, that's cool.
show up in it. It's really neat. So they were suing them, and they said, "What are you doing? You can't do that." And a lot of the fan productions were a little halted, and they're like, "Are we going to be next?"
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I think part of something that really helped their cause, Justin Lin sent out a tweet a number of months ago saying that he supports Axanar because he said, and I'm loosely quoting here, he said, "Star Trek belongs to the fans."
Yeah,
And that actually put Justin Lin a little bit higher in my favorable ratings. Because I'm like, you're absolutely right. It does belong to us. It belonged to us long before Paramount decided to do a reboot.
Yeah.
So so that helped. And Paramount has now dropped the lawsuit, so that kind of really helped their case for me, because like I said, I was a little miffed.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Action Hour would not have been made, and now they're continuing on production. I've seen some behind-the-scenes footage and stuff, and it looks amazing. And if it's half as good as the documentary, that'll work.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll jump on this for a little bit. My dad and I were having a discussion, and he said it's smarter to let Paramount let them keep going for a couple of reasons. One, if their movie sucks, people will want to go see Beyond and get the new series because they're hungry for Star Trek and they weren't satisfied here. Or if the movie's excellent, they'll still go to see the movie and start the series because they need more. They want to keep that satisfaction going.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of going back to what I was hinting at before when I said I think not having a Star Trek series on TV anywhere is just, well, you're missing out on a good opportunity, you know? I mean, it's one thing if, you know, like maybe 5 years go by until something happens, but when you're talking about nearly almost 12 years and the fans have been the only people pushing out any content, yeah, I mean, you can't just sleep for 12 years and then be like, oh, you guys can't do this, you know? Like, there needed to be something from the very beginning of them, like some kind of clause or some kind of, you know, here you can do this, but you have to work out a deal with us first, or, you know, kind of that kind of a thing, you know? Because, yeah, I mean, it's totally ridiculous. And I gotta say, like, I've been a big fan of Justin Lin since he has done the Fast franchise, because I thought Tokyo Drift was a great film, and I loved 4 and 5 and 6, and I you know, I will be honest, just because it's a completely different genre, I was a little taken aback when I heard that he was taking on Star Trek, but at the same time, this might be exactly what Star Trek needs is someone like Justin Lin, because he is a very passionate filmmaker, and you know, I think having somebody like that, and especially somebody that'll fight for the fans, you can almost not dream of anything better than having someone like that on your team, you know, so to speak.
Absolutely. Well, it actually works out well for him that he sent out that tweet, because it's going to make people like me, who are huge fans of the fans' production, are going to want to see Star Trek Beyond, and that actually want him some goodwill with Action Hour people too. The leader of that team, he's a producer on that, and he plays a major role in the movie as well. He's got man should actually thank him in person and such, which was kind of neat. So he sent out a message in response saying, you know, Star Trek Beyond is going to be awesome. We love the Fast and Furious movies, so we want to see. So thanks for, you know, shouting out for us.
Yeah.
And I'm particularly excited for the XR movie as well. I mean, I love fan production if they're done well. I've seen some fan productions that are just you can't watch them. Like your eyes are bleeding because they're so bad. But you have some really good ones. Phase 2 had a long way to go because they had some major issues, because they had some really hokey episodes, and then there were a couple that were actually, they would jump back and forth. They would have hokey, and then they would be good, and some of the actors were not that good. But now they've kind of found they're hitting their stride, I think.
Yeah, so definitely.
And so far, I'm actually really enjoying the new stride that you've hit.
That's good. Yeah.
And of course, Continues hasn't had exactly a bad episode. They've had episodes I like as much as others, but they haven't had a bad one.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, Continues is the one that I've heard the most from different people.
So good.
Yeah. But Yeah, again, going back to Lynn, I think, I don't want anybody to think that I was saying that I don't think he can't do it or anything like that. I just still can't. It's hard to wrap my head around the guy that did the car movies and is doing, possibly the next Jeremy Renner Bourne sequel, and Space Jam 2 is now doing Star Trek. It's like a lot of different genres
Well,
there.
at least we'll have, since he did the Fast movies, at least the spaceship's movements will actually look cool.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Maybe we'll have like ships drifting in space.
Not the bad kind of drift, but the cool drift.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, we're drifting without power. Well, that's not good.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're drift. Well, we're going to do this old thing from 20th century called drifting. Oh, okay. So there we go. I'd be down for that.
Yep, yep, yeah.
Personally, but
Definitely.
I like piloting stuff. So.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it seems like Star Trek has a bunch of really good news. I mean, again, I apologize to everyone and you, Steven, because you're I know you're like shame on you, but I haven't really watched any of the fan productions, so it's like I don't really have that much to say other than
you can fix that.
Cool. Yes, I could.
Yeah, pull out an episode that continues. The
Yeah.
first episode's brilliantly done.
Yeah.
Sit down, pull out a few episodes of that. They only have 5 episodes right now, so you can easily catch up.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Phase 2 has that one would take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Because they have 11.
Yeah.
But they're usually actually pretty worth it. There've been a couple of, as I said, they had a couple of hiccups along the way, but they're not awful. It's not like you're going to be rubbing your eyes praying for your death.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah. I definitely need to sit down and watch some of them just to say at least that I've given it a shot.
Thing. Dude,
Yeah,
it'll blow your
definitely.
mind.
Yeah, for sure. You got any more topics?
No, that pretty much covers them. I'm just looking forward to all this stuff because I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and maybe we'll get the resurgence that we need because we have.
Yeah.
I mean, we touched last time the Star Wars resurgence, so maybe we'll finally get the Star Trek resurgence. And one of my dreams actually is what started me into writing at first.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because it's like Star Wars got a resurgence, Star Trek needs a resurgence, but then there are some other franchises that are trying to resurge. Like, we got the Battlestar Galactica movie that's being worked on, and different things like that. And so it's like there's a lot of these different franchises that if they do it well, they can make it work. But it just depends on who's a part of it all. And so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the possibilities. Hopefully, there'll be good ones. At the very least, if everything else sucks, I can go to my fan stuff and I'll be okay.
Yeah, definitely.
And watch all the other great things that have gone before, and maybe Paramount will take pity on me and send me a whole bunch of money, and I can write new episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
I can be like, let me just write this crap. I can solve all your problems.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, I guess that does our Star Trek episode. Sorry, my brain's all over the place. Yeah, let us know what you think of Star Trek down in the comments. What your thoughts on the movies are. Even like the old films. Where do you stand? Are you a purist like my good buddy here? Are you casual like me? Are you somewhere in the middle? Let us know where you're at and what you're excited for. Please, again, follow Steven and his ventures. I'll make sure to put his YouTube link down in the description. But make sure to follow him and his great production that he's doing, which
I don't know
is...
about great, but yeah, I'm in the middle of production of the movie right now.
Yeah.
It's been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
working on like a bunch more stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're gonna be busy all through the summer, buddy.
Longer actually. I'm
Yeah.
going to be working on something else, and I just got told to do another project.
Wow, that's
I'm
crazy.
co-writing a movie, and I may be a part of it. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening as always. Make sure to check out some of the other content that's here and our past episodes of Casket Conversations, which should be in the little eye in the corner if you click it in the top right, I think it is. There'll be a bunch of them listed there, and I will see you guys on the next episode.
Because I got my eye on you.
Yeah. Yes.
No,
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
kidding. Or am I?
Ooh. The suspense. All right, guys.
I don't know.
All right, guys. Peace out.